It's been a long time since I've played a game that stuck with me quite like 2015's Life is Strange. While the series has had a few sequels, prequels, and side stories, none of them ever seem to capture the magic of those first 5 episodes for me. That is, until now. Life is Strange Double Exposure not only lives up to the sky-high standards set by the original, but also manages to take it in a fresh new direction and improve on nearly every aspect of the previous games. It was great to revisit Max 10 years after the events of Life is Strange. Even though Max is well into her 20s now, she's still very much the same character from the last time we saw her. She'll overanalyze her surroundings.
I'd like to meet the artist, especially if this is a self-portrait.
Make awkward jokes about herself.
You think so? I switched shampoos. Oh, not sure about it yet.
And most importantly, take way too many pictures.
This has to be the nerdiest picture I've taken all year.
But with her transition to adulthood comes a whole new set of issues she has to deal with.
I'm not answering any more of his questions.
There are moments where she's clearly coming to terms with the fact that she's no longer young, such as when she questions some of the cringeworthy things she said in the original game, or reminisces about when she was an undergrad.
Ah, yes. The telltale signs of a 10-coffee all-nighter.
It was little moments like this that stuck with me and really helped make this new chapter in Max's story even more relatable.
My younger self might have thought this would make an edgy photo. Do I call her out? Or should I go along with it?
As expected in a Life is Strange game, you'll need to make some tough decisions. Even though there are only a handful of major choices in each of the 5 chapters, and not all of them will dramatically affect the overall outcome, they all do have consequences, because characters will remember how you treat them and act accordingly.
Is this a date thing, or is this a friend thing?
To a degree that previous games never managed to nail down. In fact, this time conversations felt like I was talking to an actual person, instead of playing a game of guessing the correct answer.
I was kinda... definitely thinking a date thing.
For example, on my first playthrough, I did everything I needed to kickstart a romantic relationship with Amanda by learning a handful of awful pickup lines from other bar patrons.
It's a date then.
But in my second run, I opted to not ask her out and instead just became friends. While this didn't necessarily change anything major with the story moving forward, I appreciated that there was a stark difference in how Amanda treated Max when they were dating compared to when they were just friends.
Why do I always gotta fall for the weird ones?
Without diving too heavy into spoiler territory, this is one of the few choose-your-own-adventure style games I've played where I didn't stress about making the wrong decision because every outcome felt natural and worth exploring, rather than some just being a consolation prize.
You think it's a pattern?
Maybe. Yeah.
Double Exposure's chapters only take a few hours to complete, which makes them shorter than those in some of the other Life is Strange games. This is actually a good thing though, because I never felt like I was wasting my time dealing with the filler act or meandering about a party just to pad out the runtime. While there are a few plot points that didn't really seem to go anywhere unless you dug through Max's phone, I never felt like I was missing out on anything too important to the overall story just because I neglected to keep up with my backlog of text messages and social media posts. Kind of like real life. Look, I love a good epic scale RPG too, but the fact that Double Exposure respected my time and told a story that's tight and concise was pretty refreshing.
Enough about me. What are you doing here?
This story deals with some seriously heavy topics. Everything from divorce, anxiety, to the different ways we grieve over the loss of a loved one is covered here in a way that's so expertly written, I never felt like any of these subjects were diminished or sensationalized. They just felt real.
Don't forget I'm here for you, okay?
It would have been easy for Double Exposure to touch on a sensitive topic and then resolve it with thing bad or a thing good decision at the end. But instead, the writing offers a nuanced and appropriate approaches to its situations, many of which I've had to deal with in my own life. Seeing a video game character struggle to handle something like the anger and frustration one might feel after someone close to them takes their own life was an unexpected and especially well-executed bit of writing.
Seeing Reggie like that, I don't know, made it feel real.
It works so well in part because every character has their own backstory and is written to feel like an actual human being, faults and all. For example, Reggie, a student at the school where Max teaches, will overshare at times because he sees Max as an authority figure.
I don't know. I didn't really know Sophie. Seems kind of weird to be f***ed up about it.
While Gwen, another teacher at Caledon University, keeps private details to herself because, well, like in real life, not everyone immediately tells everybody they meet everything about themselves.
If I were in your shoes, I don't know if I'd believe me either.
What really sells Double Exposure's writing and story is its absolutely incredible performances and character animations. While this has always been a highlight of the series, this game has more moments where characters would tell me everything they needed to say without speaking a word, thanks to their subtle facial expressions. While this isn't anything new in games, the way these little touches are emphasized made me actually care about my actions and how I treated people. Thanks to this attention to detail and directing, Double Exposure's character interactions are easily some of the most believable and well executed I've seen in a Life is Strange game.
I had my wild years.
Without getting too heavy into spoiler territory here, Double Exposure's mystery is one full of twists and turns that definitely kept me guessing until I reached the finale. The decision to give Max different powers was the correct choice, because her original time manipulation abilities just wouldn't have worked within the story being told here.
Rewind hasn't worked in years. But still, old habits die hard.
If she could just rewind time with the turn of her palm, then the entire mystery would have been solved in a few moments, and honestly, that's just no fun. Instead, these powers have been replaced by a set of interdimensional travel abilities that fit this new game perfectly. As its title suggests, Max can view and travel between two separate realities, one that's vibrant, warm, and full of life, complete with Christmas decorations and a more upbeat soundtrack, and another that's miserable, cold, and marked by death. These realities exist in tandem with each other and are, in many ways, polar opposites. Everything from flyers on the walls of the school halls to the music and even how people interact with Max can be wildly different between the dead and living worlds. Puzzles this time around greatly benefit from Max's abilities too. I never found myself getting frustrated or lost, and I'm happy to say there were no sections where I had to dodge a train or perform any sort of frustrating QuickTime events. Her new abilities instead allow for a slower pace where I need to use deductive reasoning and explore both realities in order to find a clue to spy on somebody.
Diamond can probably find a way into it.
It's not wildly complex stuff, but the way Double Exposure utilizes Max's powers not only to help you find clues and explore, but also show how the world around you evolves in two separate paths at the same time, makes this one of the more interesting uses of a multiverse in gaming. That smart use of reality hopping also helps with the story in ways that no other power in Life is Strange has before. For example, someone could be dealing with some trouble in one world, then informs you how to interact with them in the other. Because I was able to explore freely and instantly see the differences between both realities, I found myself learning about the worlds, their characters, and the results of my actions in a more meaningful way rather than just searching for exposition dumps and waiting for text messages.
I'm gonna check out more at the party. See you guys.
Caledon University is an idealistic-looking northeastern college campus and really shines when you take a moment to reflect on a park bench or overlook. Unfortunately, it's also a bit smaller than areas from the other Life is Strange games. While it would have been nice to explore a larger world outside of the few accessible locations, every area in Double Exposure is pretty densely packed with things to interact with and explore. This is also bolstered by composer Tessa Rose Jackson with some of the best original music I've heard in a video game all year. The soundtrack not only perfectly captures the emotions of each scene, but also helps to amplify the tone of the world, making it even more alive or dead, depending on which reality you're in. The same can be said about the color grading and cinematography. This series is known for its cinematic look, and Double Exposure is no exception thanks to the rich color palette and smart camera work that would feel at home in a feature film.
Hello, Miss Caulfield.
Oh.
Can I come in?
After several attempts to recapture what made the original Life is Strange so endearing, developer Deck 9 Games really knocked it out of the park with Life is Strange Double Exposure. This is a worthy sequel to a game that captured the hearts and minds of millions of people, myself included, way back in 2015. The writing is great, the music is excellent, the cinematography and acting are top-notch, and Max's new powers are a fun and intuitive fit for its murder mystery structure.
Are you again?
As much as I ever was.
For more of Double Exposure, check out our video detailing the first minutes of gameplay, or for a story with a little bit more action, our review of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. And for everything else, stick with IGN.